Okay, so let's talk about something huge that happened in the Indian steel industry on December 10th, 2025. You've got this massive partnership between Tata Steel, a name everybody knows, and a company called Lloyds Metals. Now, at first glance, it looks like just another complicated business deal. But trust me, when you look closer, it's one of the smartest strategic moves we have seen in a long, long time.
Now I get it. You hear corporate partnership and your eyes might start to glaze over, right? It sounds like just another piece of dry business news you'd skip over. But this one? Oh, this is different. This isn't just about two companies shaking hands. This is a story about a hidden advantage, a secret weapon that could literally change the entire game for steel in India.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to look at who these companies are, uncover their incredible zero-premium secret, and see why they fit together so perfectly. Then we'll dive into the big promise they made, that MOU you've heard about. After that, we'll zoom out to see how this deal literally redraws the steel map of India, and finally, why this changes absolutely everything. Ready? Let's jump in. So first up, let's meet the players. In one corner, you have the heavyweight champion, Tata Steel, a global giant. And in the other corner, you have Lloyds Metals and Energy, a company that has been very quietly building up a treasure trove of resources out in Western India. And the way these two came together is what this is all about. So what is this secret weapon, this one advantage that makes this deal so special? Well, to really get it, you first have to understand a huge problem that every, and I mean every, other steel company is facing right now.
And that problem has a name: auction premium. You see, back in 2015, the government changed all the rules for mining. To get a new mine now, companies have to get into these crazy bidding wars, and whoever wins has to pay this extra fee, this premium, for every single ton of ore they dig up.
And how much extra are we talking about? It is mind-blowing. Competitors are paying premiums of up to 150%. Just think about that for a second. For every 100 rupees worth of iron ore they mine, they have to turn around and pay an extra 150 rupees straight to the government. It's an absolutely crushing cost.
And this right here is the secret. Lloyds Metals' giant mine in Surjagar, it was given to them before those 2015 rules came into effect. So you know what their auction premium is? Zero. A big, fat zero. Nothing. Their raw material is fundamentally, structurally cheaper than anyone else's. It's an incredible advantage.
So you've got a giant company that desperately needs cheap raw materials, and you've got another company sitting on the cheapest ore in the entire country. You can probably see where this is going, right? They're basically a perfect match for each other. I mean, look at this. It's a textbook case of a perfect synergy. Tata has the global scale, the advanced technology, and a massive customer base, but they're always hunting for affordable, long-term iron ore supplies. And then you have Lloyds, who is sitting on a mountain of the stuff. We're talking 863 million tons, but they need the money and the know-how of a giant like Tata to really build it out. It's a perfect fit.
And let's be clear, this isn't some case of a big company bailing out a smaller one. Lloyds is a powerhouse in its own right. A profit margin of nearly 34%? That's fantastic. And net cash positive is just a fancy way of saying they have more cash in the bank than they owe in debt. So no, this isn't a rescue mission. This is a partnership of equals.
So here's how the deal is structured. It's really a two-step dance. Step one is the immediate buy-in. Tata Steel bought a controlling stake in a pellet plant, which basically gives them instant access to processed iron ore. But it's step two, the future plan, that is the real prize. This is where they made a formal promise to build something truly massive together. And that promise is wrapped up in something called a Memorandum of Understanding, or an MOU. Now, I know that sounds like a bunch of corporate jargon, but it's actually the heart and soul of this whole deal. So let's break it down and explain it like we're talking to a kid.
Okay, the simplest way to think of an MOU is like this. It's a very serious, very grown-up pinky promise. You know, when you and a friend pinky promise to build the best treehouse ever, this is the corporate version of that. It's not the final contract to buy the wooden nails, but it's a formal, written-down agreement that says, yes, we are definitely 100% going to build this amazing thing together, and here's exactly how we plan to do it. It's the blueprint for their shared dream.
So what's actually in this big pinky promise? 4 huge things. First, they promised to build a brand new 6 million ton steel factory from scratch. Second, they're going to work together to dig up all the ore needed for that factory. Third, they'll build these super efficient pipelines to move the ore around like a superhighway. And finally, Tata promised to help Lloyds with its other projects too.
This isn't just a one-off deal. It's a deep, long-term commitment to grow together.
All right, so now that we know the details, let's zoom out. Let's look at the big picture. Because a deal this big doesn't just affect the two companies involved, it has the power to literally shift the entire center of gravity for the steel industry in India.
You have to remember, for more than 100 years, Tata Steel's home base has been in eastern India. This deal is a massive, historic move to the west. They are planting their flag right in the middle of the country's biggest steel-consuming markets, essentially walking into their competitors' backyard and saying, "We're here now."
And why does that matter so much? It all comes down to one simple word: logistics. Think about how expensive it is to truck steel all the way from the East Coast to a car factory in Pune. It's a huge cost. But by building a brand new plant right there in Gadchiroli, they cut those transportation costs way, way down. It's a permanent competitive advantage.
And you know, the impact on the local area itself is just incredible. For years, Gadchiroli was a place known for conflict and very little development. Then Lloyds came in and proved that you could build a successful business there. And now with a name like Tata Steel arriving, that signals a massive tsunami of investment, of jobs, of new roads and schools. It's a complete game changer for the entire region.
So let's bring it all home. When you put all these pieces together, why is this one deal so important? Why does it change everything? Well, it really boils down to three key takeaways.
Here's what you need to remember. First, it's basically a regulatory hack. Tata found a clever way to get access to that zero-premium ore, an advantage their competitors simply cannot copy. Second, it's a geographic masterstroke. They're building a new steel hub right next door to their biggest customers, saving a fortune on logistics. And third, it's a true partnership, not a purchase. They get all this amazing future growth without having to spend billions of dollars in an auction for a mine.
At the end of the day, this is so much more than a merger or an acquisition. This is a brilliant strategic move that uses a unique advantage to build a whole new industrial ecosystem. We are watching the industrial map of India being redrawn right before our eyes.
And that leaves us with one last, really big question to chew on. By being this clever, by finding a way around a huge regulatory cost and choosing to partner instead of just buy, have Tata and Lloyds just created the new blueprint for how giant industries are going to be built in India from now on? It's definitely something to think about.